We shifted our economy from an industrial to an agrarian base. It was more ecologically sound.
But Ardra must have purified the polluted water and air.
No. The record shows there were a series of initiatives covering everything from atmospheric contaminants to waste disposal.
Did she not even pick up one piece of trash?
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek: The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 4 episode, The Devil's Due. Or, I'm not sure if there's a "the" in there.
There is no
I
"the."
don't think there. Yeah, there's no "the."
Okay, just Devil's Due. Original air date February 2nd, 1991.
Wait.
Jeff,
So what do devils do?
They call me by your name.
Oh no.
Need to get that Montero reference in there. All right.
Thank you.
As always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so we open on a ghost in chains. You know what? You do you, ghost. And then we see a grumpy old man with a wig that looks like... You remember like the albino in The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
That's the hair vibe we're going for in this. And then I realized it's Data.
Yep.
I still could not tell you who the ghost was. I don't know if that's else. Like, I could not make out a face. Is that Data also?
It's from A Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I got
she
that
means the
eventually.
actor.
Yeah, I
Oh.
couldn't tell if there was like an actor. Who the actor was. I couldn't tell the face. If it was someone I was supposed to recognize or what.
No, it's not. It's not. It's hold up, I have the name here. It is.
Oh, it's just some rando.
Yeah, actually, his name is
okay.
William Glover. He
good for you,
never
William
played
Glover.
anything else on Star Trek. He's known for lots of stuff I don't know. Wow.
Party. Yeah, I initially didn't know what it was. Oh, they're also in a really nice, like, old-timey bedroom. Big fan of that. Until Data said humbug, and I was like, oh, it's one of the Christmas things. I wrote Christmas Story, and then I was like, wait, no, that's with the kid. Then I wrote it's the Christmas Carol.
Humbug,
Christmas
I say.
Carol? A
Humbug.
Christmas Carol? What is it? What is, like, the actual
A
title?
Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol? Just a
Yeah.
singular
A
one?
singular one.
Yeah. It's the one where, like, all the ghosts, like the ghost of Christmas past and present.
Okay,
and
so
future.
here, fun fact. I wasn't super familiar with the story, but I do kind of know it because I did see the Matthew McConaughey / Jennifer Garner, let's call it a vehicle, back in the day called Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. So I get it now, though. I get the story.
Although, interesting connections here that have actually nothing to do with anything. But they make a reference to A Christmas Carol, and this episode aired on Groundhog Day. And Bill Murray was in the movie Groundhog Day, and he also made a movie called Scrooged, which was a modern retelling of A Christmas Carol.
Ooh, bringing it all together.
It's a very fun movie, actually.
This is like those like Instagram posts where it's like, oh, let's compare JFK and Lincoln, their life,
Yeah.
and then their assassinations. Oh, wow, they completely synced up. Wild.
Wow, that is crazy.
Oh, apparently this actor was a voice actor in Oliver and Company.
Oh, party. Okay, so then like Picard, I guess, is directing. So he like pauses and says like, oh, Data, you're becoming a better performer. Data is good at portraying fear, even though he has never felt it. And then Data talks about method acting, and I just wrote, no, Data, not method acting.
I did find
Yeah,
it
I
very funny that, like, keeping in mind, method acting was something that was not the trend back then that it is now.
Yeah.
But I did find it very funny that this was two Shakespearean trained actors discussing acting with dialogue written by writers instead of actors.
So then there's an emergency transmission from a science station. Christ, English is failing me this week. Science station on Ventax 2. So we meet Howard Clark, the director of the science station. The transmission connection is pretty poor. Howard is like trying to say shit we can like kind of understand. They're basically being attacked. Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's pretty basic.
And the mob is trying to get in. The planet is in chaos. There's looting, fires, mass hysteria. And the people think
Another
that the
Bill
world
Murray
is
movie.
going...
Yes.
the people think that this episode would just be called, like, Bill Murray. Just the episode's just called Bill Murray. The Bill Murray Connection. So it, like, cuts out for a sec. Then we reconnect with Howard. The mob is broken in. Oh, no! Everybody's being taken hostage, and Picard's like, quick, we gotta, like, beam up the science team. But they can only get a fix on Howard, so they beam him up. And so we learn more about the Ventaxians. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll never hear that name again.
Party. So they used to be like a very technologically advanced society, but then like 1,000 years ago, they were like, lols, we're giving that up and going in a different direction. Then, so their head of state, named Accost Jared, who I'm only going to refer to as Jared. For once, I'm calling somebody by their last name, but it's because Jared is a much funnier name. This is no offense to anybody named Jared. There's nothing wrong with the name Jared. It's just, in this particular case, calling this guy Jared just seems funny to me. Accost isn't as fun than just calling this guy Jared. Okay, so Jared is the head of state in Ventax 2, and he's like obsessed with the legend of Ardra. Basically, the short version is Ardra is like an all-powerful being who like came to Ventax 2 and was like, I'm gonna give you 1,000 years of like good fortune and, you know, prosperity and shit, and after that time I'm gonna come back and enslave all of you. Cool, great, bye. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he believes in this, which is, you know, real chill. So we meet Jared. Jared is in... Okay, listen. This episode, questionable. The looks, however, immaculate. So Jared, when we see him, is wearing a blue, like, color block shirt with, like, diagonal sort of situation with a blue leopard print and kind of a cape, which is amazing. And then he's also got his, like, friends there who are also wearing some, like, wild outfits. I wrote in my notes, someone went to town at a Fabricland for these costumes. So Picard is like, hey, listen, the Federation, we're like here to like help whatever you need to help with. And Troy's like, oh, we can sense like anxiety levels amongst the people are getting dangerously high. It's like, yeah, because they think they're gonna fucking die tomorrow, Troy. But yeah, no, she's right. So then, okay, we get 2 bridge crew conferences to this episode, which I did enjoy because I love it when the team comes together. Ugh. Howard was there, but it's okay. Howard is fine. He gets a pass. He can be there. But just for this episode. No Howard in other episodes. Conference meetings. Anyways, okay. So Ardra promised 100 years of peace, blah, blah, blah. She's going to enslave everybody, blah, blah, blah. Bad luck to say her name, but they say it 1,000 billion times in this episode, so...
Oh, she's already there.
Yeah, so, there's also, like, prophecies of, like, that that's why they think she's coming, is because there's, like, earthquakes that everybody's, like, surprisingly chill about, that, like, they happen and nobody fucking moves. But, like, I was in, like, I think it was a 6 point something earthquake when I was in Peru, and everything was, the bed I was on had, like, wheels, and it was, like, moving across the room, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And there was, like, more action, I think, in... like more earthquake movement in this episode versus what I went through, and everything fucking shook. And I was like, oh my God, am I about to... It was also my birthday when this happened. But happy birthday, here's an earthquake.
Although to hear it, like I've heard people who like live in California, like places where there are earthquakes often, and it's like at a certain point you're just like, eh.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I'm not used to earthquakes. I've only just had the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're awfully chill.
There was an earthquake that happened here once, actually.
Yeah, I missed it. I was in a basement when it happened.
Yeah, even though I was out and about, I missed it too, but, like, I was on the streetcar and some biker, like, a guy on a bicycle was arguing with the driver over something,
Yeah.
and then I felt, like, a brief movement, and I thought, like, he'd run into the streetcar or something. And then I
Oh.
found out later it was an earthquake.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I was working. I was in a basement.
Yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable.
I didn't feel it. I didn't even know it happened.
And that was a small one.
Oh, yeah.
The one in Peru was not little. That was kind of terrifying. It was funny, though, the next morning, though, my friend was like, oh, we thought you just slept through it. I was like, I fucking moved across the room. Like, no, she's like, well, you didn't go under the door frame. I was like, I didn't know you were supposed to. We don't really get a lot of earthquakes here. So I just was like, well, everything's kind of like nailed down. So I didn't think anything would fall on me. So I just let the bed take me across the room. See what happens.
Enjoy the ride, I guess.
You just let the bed take you.
Yeah. Okay, so then Picard is like, listen, I'm going to go down to the planet, and he takes Worf, Data, and Troy. So yeah, great outfits. Small earthquake, nobody moves. And then Ardra, the mythical Ardra, shows up. Great outfit. She's wearing this metallic jumpsuit. Her hair's got some fun metallic bit in it also. The actress who plays her is really, really good. I think she does a really good job. Her name, I wrote it down, is Marta Dubois. I don't know anything else that she's been in. I honestly didn't read through her IMDb. I just wanted to give her credit, even though nobody. It's not like anyone's going to be like, oh my god, yeah, Marta. Like, but maybe somebody is. I don't know. Anyways, she was good in this episode.
By the way, I was just looking up the guy who played the ghost, his IMDb. The last thing he acted in was in 1991.
Wait,
Which is
but this-
not long
Oh,
after
this.
this.
No, it's
I was
not
gonna-
this.
Oh, so he did
Actually,
something else in 91.
Yeah, he was in an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
Ah.
and he was on a TV movie called Absolute Strangers.
Party.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ardra shows up and she gets a great opening line. She just goes, "Time's up." Like, yeah, okay. So she gets like a whole monologue that's fun. We'll call it fun. Because they're like, oh, you here to punish us or whatever? I don't remember what the line is. I don't know. I think Jared said that shit. And then Ardra's like, punish? Who said anything about punishing? I merely expect your end of our contract to be upheld. And don't talk like that, like some ancient prophet around me with these and thous and most powerful ones. It was appealing for a few centuries, but I bore easily. God, I can't read my own writing. You think at this point I would have slowed down and like written clearer, but I never learn. Bore easily and stop cowering. When I want you on your knees, I'll let you know. Then she looks at Picard and goes, much better. A fine example for the others. Who would you be? And then Picard goes, I'm Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise. And then she goes, keep up the good work. Well, so she basically is like, all right, so like, what have you guys done for me in this time? And it's like, oh, nothing. Nothing is done. Then she's into Picard. He's not into it. This is a recurring theme that honestly gets uncomfortable. That she's into him and he's not into it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So then she's like, oh yeah, I go by different names, and she like transforms into different like let's call them aliases. I don't know how to describe these people, these things, people, whatever. And one of them is Fektar, who is a Klingon. Feklar. I can't write. Who's a Klingon being, which Worf is not happy about. Feklar is fucking terrifying. I'm not going to describe it because I don't want to.
Oh, they're the Klingon devils, so yeah.
They're
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
The mouth. God, don't Google it, guys. No, please, nobody Google it. Don't. It's bad.
Please include the screenshots on our.
No.
Yes.
It's terrifying. I hate it. So Picard wants to see the original contract. Oh, she also turns into like the quote unquote the devil, but it's like red and like horns and stuff and wearing like a bodysuit. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Oh yeah, so she's like, so Picard wants Data to look over the original contract, and in the meantime, they're gonna go up back to the Enterprise and just leave Data on the planet to go do his homework. So then another bridge crew meeting. We get two, so lucky. So, hashtag blessed. I take that back immediately. But also, yes, I'm so happy we got two like bridge crew meetings. So Picard does not believe that she has magic. He calls her a flim-flam artist, which to me, the fact that Picard immediately does not believe she has powers is honestly bullshit.
Yes.
Because we fucking know Q. She has the same fucking powers as Q. So the fact that he immediately dismisses it makes no sense to me.
He also called Q a flim-flam artist, though.
Yeah, a flim-flam man or something. Picard really likes that term, flim-flam. Yeah, so of all the like crazy ass like shit we've seen in the last 3.5-ish seasons, and he's still like magic bullshit. And like we've seen all this, and plus they're in space. You get to see more crazy ass shit all the time. Like this shouldn't be the thing that's like, this person can do stuff. Impossible. So that logic does not track.
There is actually a reason for it.
Oh, in this episode or in general?
In this episode. I don't mean that there's a reason within the confines of the episode. I mean that there's a reason that this story idea with Picard not believing her whatsoever even exists.
Oh, because like later on, like it makes a little bit more sense. But at this point, he doesn't know anything, and he's just pulling the side of his ass.
It's a bad choice, okay? The reason it's a bad choice was because it's not Picard's choice. This episode was not written for the TNG crew. This episode is probably one of the oldest script ideas in all of Star Trek that ended up making it to screen in a later series. It was part of the original proposal for the original Star Trek series in the early 1960s when it was proposed. It never got turned into a script back then, and eventually did get turned into the script in 1977, where it was written for the upcoming Star Trek Phase 2 television series, which was never made. That turned into the first Star Trek movie. And the script just kind of sat on the back burner, along with one other one that you may remember as The Child, which is you remember The Child. And the script was adapted quite heavily and went through, I believe, a dozen writers, like within the TNG writers' room, to finally become this.
Is that why there's so much sexual harassment in it?
Yes, yes, because it was written for Kirk.
Yeah.
Gross.
And written in the frickin' 60s.
Yeah, it was actually written the story was not written, the script was not written in the 60s. The script was written in 77 originally. The story idea was part of the proposal for TOS. And then it was turned into a script in 77, and while it did get heavily rewritten, it is very clear that Picard is Kirk in this. Like, his dialogue isn't Kirk, but his actions are. His decisions are, and the way that other people treat him is. And Data is more Spock than Data this time around. Not completely, but at least in the way that other characters treat him.
Yeah, because some of this, like, jumping to conclusions the way Picard did in this episode truly felt very left field.
Yes.
Like, he immediately, then he's like, oh, scan for a ship that could be, like, helping her do her powers. I'm like, where are you fucking getting this from? So then we're on the bridge, and Ardra is, like, hanging out Picard's chair party. And then he calls for Worf to remove her, and then she repels him with magic. So what the fuck kind of, like, what magic from this? I don't...
Yep, they never
explain
that.
It doesn't make sense. In this context, this doesn't make sense. Okay. So it makes Worf mad, and he's, like, ready to fight. Picard has to hold him back.
Fight,
and then... Yeah. So Picard asks for Ardra to go back to the planet, but then she just takes over the position of ensign, which honestly, I did get a laugh out of that when he's like, "Hey, ensign," and we just turn and it's her. That was funny. So Data confirms the contract is legit, and they're like, well, fuck. So Picard isn't drinking a dark liquid. I'm just gonna like can whatever that he's drinking Coke.
Head cannon.
Headcanon, yes. So Picard just like refuses to admit she has powers. She must be a con artist taking advantage of people's fear. And then so now it's nighttime. He's like asleep. But then there's like a blue light. He wakes up, and Ardra is there in a sparkly kind of see-through caftan with a bodysuit on, and she basically like locks him in his quarters. It is uncomfortable. And he is just like not into this. He finds her quote unquote obnoxious and obvious and vulgar.
Dory, how did she lock him in his quarters?
Continuity failing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wrote down so many of these things like, okay, well, I get that they explained a bunch of things, but how did she like fuck with the Enterprise's systems like that? She kept beaming through the shields and whatnot, and like this is not
It doesn't make
up.
sense. So yeah, Picard calls her obvious and vulgar, so she like transforms into a Victorian dress and like she looks nice, but then she turns into Troy, and I like, how did she fucking do that then, Picard? Like, I hated this so much. She turns into Troy, and she's like basically it's like watching Troy flirt with Picard, and she like runs her fingers down his chest, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It is. No, I hated that. So then Ardra says, I could give you a night that would light fire in your dreams until you die, and you would reject me? Yes, Ardra, read the fucking room. He wanted to leave.
Yeah.
He's not into it. But then she thinks the right way to proceed with this is to transport Picard to the science station in his pajamas. And Geordi's like, what the fuck? Because Picard's pajamas are little shorts and his wrap top with all the chest hair out.
I think it might actually be a romper. Like, I think the shorts and the shirt are connected.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because it looked like the shorts were like, maybe it is connected, but like from the way it looks almost separate, but who knows? It probably could be one look.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
So, yeah, Picard is pretty pissed off, and he wants to come back to the ship, but Worf is not able to really get a signal, so he's just like, send Data in a shuttle with a uniform. So Data goes to get Picard. As they're going back, he's now in his uniform again, and then the Enterprise just disappears.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess. So Picard is so Data may have found something though. He's like, there's a case where like a Klingon was there, and there was a thing, and they went to arbitration because the Klingon was not from there. So it's the only known case involving an alien claimant. So this may work for them. But the way that they did it made fucking no sense. Because why weren't they just like, we're not from here. The Enterprise has nothing to do with your shit. Goodbye. Like, they don't do that.
She did kind of explain that.
No. I mean, like, why didn't Picard be like, we're not from here? We're like, if they're using this particular example to like jump off of like with the Klingon case going to arbitration, they don't really make that point in this trial, but whatever. Geordi is able to notice like a sudden jump in Z particles reading just about the time the Enterprise disappears, but they can't pinpoint the source.
Yeah, as soon as he said Z particles, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
So Picard needs Ardra to perform more magic tricks, I guess, so they could try to track the source. So he calls for arbitration. She's not really interested, but then he's like, I'll sweeten the deal by taking her to the ruins of like Gilliam?
I don't know,
What
some
is
place
this?
they made up.
And then there's like with an emerald, and he knows where it is. For a second, I was like, is this referring back to that episode where he was like doing archaeology shit, and there was the two other aliens who showed up, and then there was like the lady that I liked, and
No, it's random.
Yeah.
Vash is the character you're thinking of.
oh yeah, oh she's so cool. So, but Ardris has enough jewelry. She wants Picard as her prize. Body, heart, mind, soul without resistance. Ardra, fucking take the... It's not even a hint at this point. It's just fucking no. Fuck off. And then Ardra chooses Data as the arbitrator because I get like he's pretty... I mean, I guess it's a good choice. But Data's like, hey, Picard, can I talk to you for a sec? Because please note, I cannot rule in your favor automatically because you're my friend / boss. I have to be like, actually take this seriously. And Picard's like, yeah, okay, that's like fine. So then they start this fucking wild, dumb court arbitration nonsense. And Picard would like a 1,000-year-old witness who could verify that this was the person who showed up 1,000 years ago to make this agreement. And Ardra is like, hey, Jared, how would they identify me? And he's like, okay, by the date that you show up, the earthquakes and visions. And that makes no fucking sense because
all
that
stuff you
doesn't
can
describe
Google.
anything about this person.
Yeah.
And also, if somebody's seeing visions, wouldn't they know then what she looks like? So why aren't they like...
It's very original series logic now that I think of it.
Yeah.
It does not make any sense. And, okay, so yeah, this is stupid. None of these things are specifically, like, you cannot identify at all in these things. Picard rightfully objects. But Data says that's fine according to Ventec's law. Apparently she can continue, and then she wants to question Picard. And I did get it. It's a fun exchange-ish. So Ardra goes, please do not take any offense to these questions, Captain. You know how fond I am of you. I don't like that, but it's his reaction. And then he just goes, objection. And Data goes, sustained. Oh, Picard. So she's like, listen, I know that you doubt my powers, so I'm going to cause an earthquake and make him disappear. Great. Thanks, Chris Angel. Like, why? So then Data goes, the advocate will refrain from making her opponent disappear. Like, yeah, that's fair. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is when Ardra transforms into the devil. Not then. That was just the scary Klingon person. This is the classic devil with like the beard, horns, cape, full bodysuit. I hate it.
The great value devil.
Yeah, the Party City devil. What is the Halloween store? What's it called?
Oh, Spirit?
Spirit of Halloween.
Spirit
Yes.
Halloween. Just Spirit Halloween.
Yeah. So like Picard can't explain how she's doing this, and just like, why don't they just like point? Yeah, it was like, why don't they just point out that the Enterprise is not Ventaxian? This not they didn't agree to any of these conditions. To be fair, nobody in this sort of thing agreed to these conditions. It's also stupid. I hate it. Anyways, Geordi finds the source of the power. It's 34 degrees north of 62 degrees east, an altitude of 210 kilometers. But they can't see anything at the coordinates. Okay, whatever. So then, like, the changes to Ventax, like, 2, it came on gradually, and, like, did she, like, show up and do anything? No, the people made the decisions. Like, stuff happened significantly after the 1,000-year time bit started. So, like, the environmental shit was, like, done, the peace treaties. So, like, the people fucking did it, not Ardra. So that's, like, dumb. But Jared's like, oh, this stuff wouldn't have happened without her intervention. Like, no, Jared, shut the fuck up. And then, oh, yeah, surprise, cloaked... I wrote surprise witness, Geordi LaForge. So he doesn't really do witness. He like goes to the side and talks to Picard. But they found the ship. It's cloaked, and it's a bad copy of a Romulan cloaking device. And the Enterprise is also cloaked. where they left it, basically. So Geordi already reached out to the ship, and they're fine. Picard is like, I'm going to use her powers. Like, okay. Picard does an earthquake, and Ardra's like, okay, I'm enjoying this. And then Picard makes her disappear, and then Picard turns into the Klingon being, and I hate all of it. And so it turns out it's a prearranged program on her ship's computer. She's not the real Ardra. Oh my god, what a twist. Who cares? Okay, I did a classic me, and I didn't want to use another page, so I wrote sideways. So,
because that always works out.
Actually, this time it wasn't so bad because I didn't have a ton of extra, and I numbered it. So I can read it. I'll put it that way. It's a lot more legible than my margins notes. So it's an ingenious combination of force field projection, holography, and transporter effects. What? And the implant in her eye allows her to control her powers. She's also got 23 aliases. Like, girl, that's too many names to keep track of. I fuck up my own names sometimes. Like, 23 is too many.
Regarding the Star Trek tech part here, it's important to remember that all of this, like, advanced tech that we're seeing, from, like, replicators to transporters and the holodeck and whatnot, it's all based on transporter and force field technology. That's what happens. It's the transporter transports things somehow. They don't go into a lot of detail about how it happens, depending on the episode, but usually not. How holodeck stuff relates to transporters, they don't really explain that either. How it's able to project things without holodeck fields, without holodeck transmitters and whatnot, no, they don't go into that either. The episode has a lot of gaping holes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, almost done. I've got like a couple more lines of the recap. So Ardra's like, lol, okay, I release all the people and I think I'm gonna be on my way, bye. But then Jared calls security. The contract has been dissolved, and Ardra's like, we would have had so much fun if you lost. And I'm like, I'm very glad you were caught, Ardra, because this was gross. Here's the thing. I think the concept...
It wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
The Scooby Gang strikes again. I think, like, the concept would have been interesting. However, because she harasses Picard the whole fucking episode, I think the actress was good, but I could not stand the character because she just harasses Picard the whole episode.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
I forgot about how intense that was. Of, like, of how sexual harassment-y it is. I mean, not it just is.
Yeah, it just flat out is.
Yeah.
It ends up making the episode kind of frustrating to watch, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of... I don't want to say this again, but it feels sloppy.
Yeah.
It is.
There's so many, like, plot holes. There's so many things that don't make sense. It's so frustrating. And...
Yeah, and frankly, I remember the trial bit being longer, but I guess not.
It's like a third of the episode at best.
Yeah.
And some of the shit she does cannot, from my understanding, can't be like, how did she, like, push Worf away?
Yeah, that they never cover.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's like I said, they don't cover lots of these things because they were important for the narrative to happen, but the explanation was not that important for the narrative to happen. Just, you are supposed to accept, based on Picard's thought alone, that this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
no, I don't disagree with your thought.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't like that's where they thought
like they had like the only good bits in the episode, honestly, was like when he was explaining about how, like, no, you guys did this yourselves. It wasn't Ardra.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they're basically arguing about whether she actually did her part of the bargain.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, so, like, she like, magicked all your problems away. And he's like, no, it happened over a long period of time. And he's like, oh, so she advised on your, like, new constitution or council or whatever. And he's like, no, she was gone by then. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
so what about the environment? Did she do this or whatever? And he's like, no, we came up with all these reforms and stuff.
But then he still says, oh, none of it would have happened without her intervention.
Yeah.
Bitch, what?
Yeah.
Jared, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Although the only sensible thing he does is call the security.
Yeah. It's like, okay, she was a catalyst, maybe, but she didn't actually do it.
She wasn't real.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think it would have been cool if, like, this was in fact Ardra or something. Like, the fact that Picard just jumped into, like, oh, it's not, it's like trickery, it makes no sense to me. Like, it's just, it's like jumping to a conclusion with absolutely no proof. Like, who does he think he is? Ben from that other episode?
Yeah.
The shitty captain? So it's again someone jumping to conclusions and being right, even though they have no proof.
Yeah.
I think what it really comes down to is that this episode is a fun bit of filler, I think. But it really
fun
doesn't
is
hold up
debatable.
to... Well, no, I think that the parts of it that are fun are definitely a lot of fun. Like, all of the data stuff, I think, is great in this. Some of Picard's speeching is very good.
Yeah, when I watched this as a kid and I didn't really realize how creepy what she was doing was, I used to think that was funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that part isn't funny.
Yeah, it's not, though. Because they keep making Picard, like, want nothing to do with women.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand all these people's attraction to him because, my God, he is hot. But if he's like, no thanks, hard pass, fucking stop it.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. Yeah. I just found this so frustrating.
Yeah.
This was not as fun as I hoped it would be. I thought I was going to spend so much time of, like, in the courtroom. I thought there was going to be... I did like the, like, court lingo. I did, like, Picard's, like, objection. Data sustained. I did like Data as the judge. I like how seriously he took his job. It was pretty adorable. But I would have liked more of that. But also, the wild thing is, like, in the actual court, other than Picard's, like, speech, the whole, like, logic is so stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, Ardra's, like, here's my argument. Like, no, this fucking makes no sense. This proves nothing. And then Data's like, well, she got a point, according to the law. And it's like, there's no point at all. What the fuck nonsense law is this if she's got a point in this?
Yeah.
If you can't
it's
identify her with stuff external that happens, like, how do they... I think, like, this whole thing of, like, oh, no, you know what? I just realized it's just going to end up going into religion. It's like, how do you believe in someone promising something after all this time? And, like, they're just blindly believing. Yeah, no, I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
But one of the things that just also kind of bugged me with this is, like, how fine everybody... Well, no, people weren't fine about it, but, like, the fact that, like, a society would have to... Because, like, their ancestors agreed to something 1,000 years ago, the, like, current people would have to deal with this kind of consequences. Like, if this was real, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christ, like... I would hope that, you know, my ancestors would sign a deal that would, you know.
I mean, boomers are doing that with their decisions.
I mean, that is
generations.
definitely a thing that happens within
Yeah.
within the framework of our lives, yeah. But, like, I think thinking about it as hard as we are is probably what the writers did not do. It's like I said, this went through, like, a dozen people. And I'm not, like, exaggerating that amount
In
either.
like
This
2
went
decades.
through yes, this went through like everyone in the writers' room, including several showrunners throughout the years, because it was first brought up as an idea to do again in TNG. In TNG season 3, and was turned into a comedy script from there. And they decided when they brought it to screen to take most of the comedy stuff out and try to put back as much of the original script idea as possible, which I think was a mistake because the comedy stuff that is in it is mostly funny.
They should have sent it to one more person.
Yeah. Or maybe
Like,
they
if that-
just should have been like, you know what? Maybe
This has been passed around to so many people. Maybe let it die.
yeah.
Stop
Maybe
trying.
it's time to call it. You know?
Yeah, because this is like not. It's not any. It's bad.
Yeah.
And it's wild though. If it had that much time to like develop and come up with shit, and this is what they ended up with, like, you guys,
Yeah.
you're
Definitely
capable of more.
Yeah.
Are you? Well, we'll see. But yeah, it's. But why?
Why? Why?
And okay, so here's like another question. Like, how is it like possible to like cloak another ship like that? To just like, how powerful would her computer have to be able to do all this shit and then cloak the fucking massive thing that is the Enterprise?
So the thing is that cloaking devices within the Star Trek universe are not particularly well explored in terms of a technology. I don't think there's any point where we really begin to understand what cloaking technology is, because the thing about it is that within Star Trek, only 2 major powers that we ever see end up having cloaking devices. One of them is the Klingons, and that's something that they never really explain why they don't share with the Federation, but I mean, whatever. And the other one is the Romulans, and it's actually a plot device, a major plot device, that the Federation does not have cloaking technology, and that's why they don't know shit about it. So we don't really get any explanations about how it works, really, but we do see things larger than the Enterprise cloak on several occasions. The Romulan D'Deridex class warbirds that we've been seeing are actually larger than the Enterprise by a very good amount. They're very big ships. It's just kind of hard to see in the way that stuff's shot. But within the realism of the universe, they are fucking massive. But yeah, because we don't really know how it works, we see it happen on huge things several times. We see it happen on... I don't know if we ever see them extend a cloaking effect around another ship. This might be the only other time that happens.
Yeah, I think as far as I know, this is the only time we see where they can cloak something external from themselves. So it's not in the Star Trek universe. It's not really a thing.
So this one lady was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, this time it is. They do specifically say it is a cloaking field. But I mean, a field kind of implies that it's got an originating source, and is a defined area. But I mean, that's about as good of an explanation as we're ever going to get, and that's not even counting the fact that the Federation does get access to cloaking technology on a few occasions throughout Star Trek.
Yeah. I think they explain it later on that there's like a treaty or something that the Federation won't develop their own cloaking technology.
There is, yeah, but
Yeah.
they
They haven't established that yet.
Yeah, that's true. That hasn't been established yet. I think that gets put down in DS9. Not a spoiler, by the way, because it's not important.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a background reason. They might have like an
it's just to
idea
explain
of
why
that
they
at
don't
this
do
point.
it.
Yeah, because keeping in mind, there are things within the writing of Star Trek that are there in the background that they will never put to screen, or they haven't put to screen, or they had no intention of putting to screen, that are just there for the writers to understand what the universe is like. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking because they do say that her cloaking device is like a bad copy of the Romulans. So I wonder if maybe that
Yeah.
means she did like modifications to it that would allow her to like cloak another ship.
It could be. The Romulan one is considered to be the gold standard whenever they talk about cloaking devices. The Klingons do have them, but they're besides using them, they never really talk about them very much. Usually because the Klingons are not in like a situation where they're against the Federation, so you're never really seeing it from the perspective of our heroes, whether or not the cloaking device is working, how to detect someone under it, that sort of thing. So
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's odd.
So later on, the Federation signs a treaty that they won't do cloaking.
No. Later
Or
on,
it's
it's
already in
established
place?
that the treaty exists. But
So it's already in thing.
presumably it exists now, and that's why the Federation
okay.
currently does not have it.
Okay, because I was gonna say it seems like they're always the one who are like, oh, we know the best, we have the best tech and shit and whatever. So like, how would they would have not come up with something like
Yeah.
at this point if they're the smartest?
Yeah, it's to retroactively explain why the Federation doesn't develop its own cloaking technology.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's important to note that when the Romulans show up again for the first time in TNG, like that was supposed to be a big thing because they hadn't been seen in like 100 years, and presumably throughout that time there is a treaty saying don't bother us and we won't bother you, presumably, and that's it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I'm just wondering, like, what other, like, is there other tech stuff that, like, the Federation does not make that other people do?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, it's not anything that we're going to hear about soon. We have heard about a couple of them over the course of the series. It's usually weapons.
It's mostly shit that's like really fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, like weapons that like disintegrate people. Remember the one where Data was kidnapped to be in Kivas Fajo's collection of oddities?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that fucking gun.
Yeah, so that gun is banned
Oh,
in the
shit.
Federation.
Yes, okay, I remember that gun.
The weapons that Klingons have, disruptors, are often said to be banned in the Federation, but it doesn't go into much detail about that. My personal favorite one, it's not a technology, but Romulan ale is a drink that is often mentioned throughout Star Trek. It's an illegal high alcoholic content spirit, even though it's referred to as an ale. And it is banned in the Federation because of the treaty that they have. However, they often find ways to smuggle it into the show, and it's always very amusing.
Well, I think it's supposed to be the equivalent of how like Cuban cigars are technically illegal in the States.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's very much inspired by that.
Yeah.
Have people like this might be a silly question, but like have people tried to like make what they think would be in it? So like is it a real recipe?
Yeah,
Or is
lots
it
of
just
them.
like
Oh, yeah.
fuck all, whatever?
You could actually
there's
buy
tons of different recipes for Romulan
you could
ale.
actually buy licensed Romulan ale several times throughout the years. There have been a bunch of them. One of them was it was a blue like sugary drink of some sort. It wasn't it wasn't like a cocktail. It came in like beer sized bottles and was colored blue like it is in the show. But it was more of like a cooler. More recent ones that have been made are I believe they're actually spirits of some sort, but I don't know the details on them. I haven't looked up on them since they announced them a little while ago. I think it was like 2 years ago or something.
Oh, so they're like available now?
Yeah, Star Trek has been
But
doing a
can't-
lot more merchandising recently. The problem is we can't get them up here in Canada. You can't import them. Yeah.
Oh, so we can smuggle in our own illegal Romulan ale.
Yes, we can.
Do they sell them in like stores in the States, or do they
No,
like...
you have to order them.
Oh, you have to order it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can also order Chateau Picard wine. Because there is an actual Chateau Picard in California. Not officially. It's not officially like a Star Trek thing. They just happen to be named that. However, Paramount or CBS, whatever the fuck, teamed up with them a couple of years ago and started producing a Chateau Picard wine, which is like a Star Trek branded thing. It's pretty neat.
And I'm sure
cool.
if you Google, there's probably like hundreds of like cocktail recipes for like Romulan ale that people
There
have
are
just
tons
made
of
up.
them.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay, I think we should do that one day. That seems cool.
Yeah.
I'm down.
And then I can give a review on another podcast episode. Romulan Ale Corner. Yeah, that's cool that they're like integrating that into real life. I mean, I guess
there's-
a lot of like fandoms and shit do that. I've had the butter beer.
Yeah. There's
But,
like
it's
Star
just
Trek
pretty good.
cookbooks and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I
think
actually
just-
have the Star Trek cookbook. It's,
Yeah.
It's something. It exists.
Are there
It's
any
not
like
good.
good recipes?
No, absolutely not. It's awful.
Yeah.
I made a couple of them. Okay, it's a very strange book because it was both written by one of the actors on the show and like an actual cook, but it's a combination of recipes and things that only appear to be recipes. So some of them are recipes that are like inspired by characters on the show and the kind of things that they would make. Some of them are recipes for things that will look as much like they do on screen as possible without actually tasting good. So it's a very weird mixture that way.
Yeah,
and
it's like actual recipes and then like what's it called? Like prop food.
yeah. So
Oh.
like for instance, there's an explanation for how to make gach, which is the Klingon
Oh,
worm
yes.
food. And
Yeah.
the way that they suggest doing it is taking udon noodles and like letting them marinate in soy sauce and then serving that cold. And I'm just like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
What's the food that Worf likes his mom to make?
Oh, something blood pie.
Bloody?
Blood-
Ooh, yeah.
uh,
Is that
blood
in there?
pie?
Yeah.
It might be.
Something
I don't know.
with bloody.
We can look through it again. It is very entertaining. The only downside is that while it goes through all of the, it goes through all the different crew members that were known within Star Trek when the book was released. So it's got characters from several series that you don't know yet. Series. whatever. That you don't know yet, but it does have all the TNG cast and food inspired by each of them.
Food inspired?
Well,
so
yeah,
funny.
because food isn't really shown on Star Trek very much. At least not with any specifics.
Okay, but what's food inspired by Riker?
Well, yeah.
Steak? I don't know.
No, actually,
Eggs? He makes
The
eggs.
scrambled eggs is one of them. Yeah,
Is it? Oh my god, I was kidding,
Yeah.
but okay, legit.
they only have like a couple
wild.
of things from each person, like one or two. But
What's Data's food inspired by Data?
I don't actually remember. I'd have to take a look. Oh, also, mild correction to myself from earlier. Sorry, the Romulan Ale one is one that I thought I remembered. It does not actually exist yet, or at least the one that they're going to make. Instead is a link on their website to please submit your name and email into whether you would like to see Romulan Ale being sold, which is too bad. But they have several other things, including the Cardassian drink, which they pronounced incorrectly this time, Kanar.
Yeah. Well, you can make the argument that they mispronounce it later.
Is that the drink
Yeah.
that one of the Glens have at the
Yeah.
bar?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they call it Kanar, but later on they changed the pronunciation to Kanar.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can also buy a 3-pack for $140 US. The 3-pack.
That's too much.
No, the
money.
3-pack. The 3-pack comes with 3 750 milliliter bottles of wine. One of them is the United Federation of Planets Sauvignon Blanc, individually numbered bottles. Ooh. One of them is the United Federation of Planets Old Vine Zinfandel. Zinfandel? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Zinfandel.
I'm not a... Zinfandel. There we go. Sorry, I'm not a whiny. And the last one is Klingon Blood Wine Cabernet Sauvignon with a wax-dipped collector's edition
Nice.
top.
It's very funny because Zinfandel is usually that's like the drunk mom wine.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Klingons are all drunk moms. I mean,
Yeah.
blood wine is wine,
Yeah.
presumably. Like, they never really say it's got the taste of blood in it.
I just assume that's red wine.
Yeah.
It might be.
Klingons are just really into red wine.
I could actually see that.
They eat it with the worms.
Oh, gah.
Gah.
Well, I assumed it was like it might be like fermented blood or some shit.
That's
Ew.
possible. But also, much like many things with the Klingons, it might just be a name.
Yeah.
Who knows? Not me. Not us. They've never told any of us. What the hell, guys?
Well, I think it's probably time to move on
Fine.
to favorite moments and lines and things of that nature.
I like when Picard said objection when she's like, please do not take offense to the question, Captain. You know how fond I am of you. And then he goes objection and Data goes sustained. I thought that was kind of funny. Just Picard's reaction. I like when Data said the advocate will refrain from making her opponent disappear. That was kind of lols. I like Ardra's outfits. I like that. I guess I liked the outfits. I like Jared and Friends' outfits. I think there's some. I guess I like. The opening is cute, I guess. Oh, so Data goes. So like after him, he's like, oh yeah, I do method acting. Blah blah blah. So Data goes. Since I have no emotional awareness to create a performance, I'm attempting to use performance to create emotional awareness. I believe if I can learn to duplicate the fear of Ebenezer Scrooge, I will be one step closer to truly understanding humanity. I mean, go for
Fair.
it, Data. I
Yeah.
believe in you. And I guess that's it.
Yeah. My favorite bit was when Picard's questioning Jared as to like, you know, how their society like went about making their improvements and stuff, and he's like talking about the environment, and he's like, oh, did she do this? And he's like, no, we did that, or she left, and then Picard's just like, did she not pick up one single piece of trash?
Yeah.
And then Data's like, no, you can't act like that. I just really liked that. I thought that bit was funny, and that's it.
What I actually really enjoyed was an odd part. It was when Ardra is showing off the different devils and things that she is, and she turns into the Klingon Feklar, and Worf gets immediately really offended, and he's just like, "You are not Feklar!"
Yeah, that was good.
Because clearly it was Worf getting all huffy puffy, and I'm like, "Oh, Worf." Oh,
Not
Worf.
enough Worf in this episode.
I agree.
Could always do with more Worf. Actually, I feel like we haven't seen Riker do some shit in a while.
Yeah.
It feels like the episode where the dream one was like a billion years ago.
It's because he's been directing episodes.
Ah, good for him. But still, we want Riker. We want some Riker stuff, but we want
fair.
Worf stuff the most.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean me. I want Worf stuff.
I promise you will get some of it coming up.
Yeah.
Yay.
I just can't say when.
Well, it's coming up, so something to look forward to.
All right. I suppose we shall move on to predictions for the next episode.
Nice.
So, Dory, the next episode is called Clues. And there are... how do I word this?
There are clues.
Basically, there are some... Shit.
There are some clues.
Yeah, there are some clues. I'm trying to... I had the wording in my head and I just lost it.
The clues don't belong to Blue, do they?
They do
No.
not. No. All right, so there are many little things on the Enterprise that just are not adding up.
Clues?
Yeah. There's lots of little clues. So
Oh my god,
we have
scavenger hunt? Ugh. That made it sound like I was like like about to like spit. That wasn't. I was just making up like I'm happy. Sorry, continue.
Well, it's basically, I think it's Picard has to solve a mystery for the
Ooh.
Enterprise. It's difficult to give you any clues for this episode.
Oh, okay.
Without spoiling.
Okay, so I guess I have to come up with the mystery then?
Yes.
Okay. So it's called Clues. He's got clues, and he's looking for clues to figure a mystery. Okay, so the mystery.
So there's clues that something happened, but no one remembers anything.
Oh my god, is this the fucking Hangover?
That's for you to decide.
Okay. Listen, I'm actually, you know what? This isn't the first time I've go with a plot from something else. So listen, we'll go with The Hangover. Let's say everybody goes to 10 Forward. They have a real fun time. And there's some shenanigans. Maybe something goes missing that was not, but they can't remember where it was put. Like it needs to go back, and it's like a time-sensitive situation. I don't know. Maybe it's something for engineering or something, but you know, I guess the bridge crew had a drunk rampage through the ship. God, it's like the Naked Now episode. I miss that. It's fun to just see them like let loose a bit. So yeah, thing is missing, but they can't remember because they had too much fun. So I guess though, like everybody else though is still massively hungover, and Picard's the only one who can like stand at this point. So also, or maybe like they're delivering something, and people are like, oh, this is so cool, so they brought it with them to 10 Forward to show everybody, but then like it disappears. So Picard, they're like heading towards where they have to go to like deliver this item, and so now Picard is like, fuck me, I have to go find it because everybody else can do their jobs and shit, and Riker's in charge. I'm gonna find this thing so I can present it when we get to the place. Mm-hmm. Yes, so not really the plot of The Hangover anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'd like to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.